The purpose of the Global CFO Council is to provide an educational and networking forum for senior financial executives in order to share best practices, discuss current financial issues, and to learn about current topics related to the performance of their jobs.
How are you doing?
Terrific. How are you, Robert?
I'm excited. I'm excited to get to do this and talk to you. And John, let me get right into introductions. John Sircy is the Director of Finance and Administration at the South Carolina Research Authority. Is that correct, sir?
That is.
And
It's
I
a
think
mouthful. Another way to say it is Chief Financial Officer, but they don't like that in government realms, so we'll go with Director of Finance and Administration.
do you get paid twice for being the finance and administration?
No, just once, but it's sufficient.
John, I like to do a little bit of internet research on people. And I think you're also either still or were a adjunct professor at Columbia College. Is that true?
That is. I taught advanced accounting and corporate finance.
And used to be the VP of Finance at that fine university. Is that true?
Yes, I was.
And then it looked like before that, a bunch of operational, senior level executive or a COO president roles and things like wholesale and financial institutions. Is that true, sir?
Yeah, I was the president of Petter Supply Company, a regional industrial distribution firm. And also I was the COO and CFO of a couple of different banks and bank holding companies. So I spent 20 years in banking. Then I spent 14 years in industrial distribution. Then I did the higher ed stint, and now I'm working for SCRA, and life is good.
I think you got your undergrad in economics from Knox College and an MBA from Western Governors University. Is that true, sir?
Yeah, I was actually a double major, undergrad, econ and poli-sci. I started out in poli-sci. I thought I was going to go to law school. I took my first accounting course, was just enamored with accounting. And I had so many of the poli-sci courses already taken that I just turned it into a double major.
You are a CPA, a CMA, and a CFM, I think. Is that true, sir?
And a CMA, which is a
Nice.
different one. And I just, on the 29th of December, I just passed this PFS, Personal Financial Specialist AICPA exam. So I've got that credential to help me help people.
John is clearly an overachiever. I have met too many CPAs and CMAs. If you don't know about the CMA, it's awesome. The IMA, Institute of Management Accountants, is a great organization, and I think has the best conferences. I'm not a CMA, but I love going to the IMA conferences. So well done.
Yeah.
And something interesting I think I found out about John, he and I both like bow ties. Is that true?
Yes. And one of the things about this COVID world is I've not been I wear my bow ties to church, but that's about it, which that was always my signature. So, and real bow ties, none of this clip-on junk. No, they've got to be real. And I've even had a couple of occasions for some folks here that were going to formal events to help them out in tying their ties. So it's been a useful tool, useful skill.
I started wearing them a few years ago. Love it. And I tell people there's some great YouTube tutorials. And the first one's going to be about 40 minutes of cursing. And then it's like 20 minutes. And then you'll pick it up like that. No problem. And
Real quickly, Robert, and I don't want to take too much time, but the person who I had a person teach me, but the person was left-handed.
Ooh.
And so I had to kind of reverse engineer what they taught me. And I went out to a YouTube, and then it all came clear. One thing was obvious to me: the instructions that come with the tie, forget it. it's, I mean, at least for me, it was impossible. I could have never figured it out. So I'm very thankful to the person, even though they were left-handed, to get me off the dime. And then I found a 1-minute YouTube that basically nailed it for me. So.
Well, John, let's get into this. John, what is your favorite business book and why?
I would say it's Good to Great, the Jim Collins book. And the reason that I like it is there's so much actionable information in it. I mean, I've used everything from the flywheel, and you're getting to a point, maybe you're working with your team and things are just starting to be on the cusp of success. And there might be fatigue or something that comes in to play, but you say, boy, we're right there. If we could get this flywheel going, you're going to find the level of effort required to keep it going is far less than what it took to get it going. So that one, the hedgehog concept, I've worked for foxes and I've worked for hedgehogs. I'm working for a hedgehog now, Bob Quinn, our executive director. And I'll tell you, I'm a hedgehog, he's a hedgehog. We are totally in sync. Working for a fox is really tough. It's educational, but it's tough. And then getting the right people on the bus, getting them in the right seats and all that. Again, I think there's just so much there that is actionable, which I do have a bias for action. So that's the reason I like that book.
What about the best advice that you have ever received?
The best advice I've ever received is from my parents. And they said, it doesn't matter what you're doing, do it to the very best of your ability. Be focused. It doesn't matter. I mean, it can be washing dishes, sweeping floors, coming up with a long-term cash flow forecast. It doesn't matter what it is. Do it. Put everything into it and do it to the very best of your ability, and you will never be lacking for opportunity to either advance or expand or increase your impact on wherever you are. And so I really never had a career plan per se. I had a professor at Knox that got me a position at a bank. And then the bank said, we're going to send you back to school to get your CPA. We want you to be the controller and all this. That was not in my vision. But as those opportunities arose, I just remember my parents saying, just do the very best that you can do and good things will happen. So I'd say that's the best advice I've received.
John, what about a new tool that you've recently started using or a habit that you've recently picked up that you found beneficial?
This one's a little bit off the wall. I've got my two older sons are both PhDs, and one is in higher ed, is a professor. The other one teaches at a private school here in Columbia. And what we started doing when we would read a book, we would write a review. I hate to use the word or the phrase book report, but we would write a review of that book and send it to the other person or other people. And one, it's a great discipline because at the end, you want to have retained and understood the main themes and context and the takeaways from the book. And there's nothing like putting something down in writing to make that real. Plus, it gave us the opportunity, like I sent one to my son and he said, Dad, this is great. I don't have to read the book. Now, the most recent one I sent him, he says, this is encouraging me to read the book, which that's always my goal, is to get them to read the book. I want to give them enough to pique their interest, but have them read the book. So that is something that we started not that long ago, but it's been great. And then of course you get the reports from others that you can read. And in many cases, I don't have a desire to read that book, but it does give me some insights and some things. So I'd say that's a habit that we're doing, and it's very worthwhile. There's some time involved, but it's definitely worth it.
John, what is the best part of your current job?
Well, it's a tie, okay? And not a bow tie, but it's a tie. One, the variety of things that I get to work on. I've been in, as you, Robert, shared, I've been in a lot of different roles, but I've never been in a sandbox that had this many toys. I've never, and I'm not a painter, but I've never had a palette that's this broad. So, for example, I had a conversation this morning that was it was technical in terms of IT. Had an analysis that I did, which was a financial analysis. I work very closely with our director of HR because I do have a passion for human resources, and I understand people are the ones that ultimately move the needle. So if you can have an influence there, it's very important. And what I found is, like, we have a super talented HR person, but there are some areas where I can add value in terms of analytics and things like that. We invest in startups, so I get to interact with and get involved with terms and how we invest, and then the ultimate success or lack of success of that company, and try to coach them and get involved in that, managing the portfolio. We've got two boards. We've got the SCRA board and the SC Launch Inc. board to work with. I'm not going to use the word manage because that would be impossible. But so in any given day, you're just doing things that are stretching you in all different ways. And so that's super exciting. So that's one, but tied with it, the caliber of people that I get to work with. They're just outstanding. One, they're committed to the mission, fueling the innovation economy of South Carolina, and we never lose sight of that. But they're super talented, really focused. I don't have to connect the dots all the time. We just were in sync. And so being able to work with tremendous people, having a mission like we've got, and then having the resources and the span of control. You mentioned finance and administration. Really, that was my role at Columbia College. I just have so many more resources to work with here at SCRA. And then I've got an unbelievable boss. He's just, it's like the Lord saved the best for last. And so I'm very, very excited about that.
Well, you're pretty lucky, John. You got a good team and a good boss and a great mission at your company. So you're quite blessed. You have things
totally blessed, very motivated. Can't wait to get in every morning. I'm a morning person, so I get in super early, and there's never a lack of things to work on.
John, what about something personal that you wouldn't mind sharing with the CFO Council members about yourself?
Sure. I have the most important relationship in my life is with the Lord Jesus and his word. That's the most important book in my life. I've learned more and grown more as I've gotten into the word. I was in college before I became a Christian. I was a sophomore in college, and he radically changed who I was, the trajectory of my life, and that is the most important thing in my life.
Amen. The more I read the good book, the more it reads me.
It's a mirror. It's a mirror. And sometimes it's painful, but boy, he is so merciful, and it's his goodness that leads us to repentance. So I'm very thankful for that.
Question number 6, last question. It happens so fast. Is, John, what's something I should have asked you that I didn't, and what's your answer to that?
John, do you have a family? Can you tell us a little bit about your family? Of course, I've alluded to some of my family members, but my wife Debbie and I will celebrate our 43rd anniversary on March 18th. So
Wow.
she's put up with a lot, and she was the mature one in the relationship, and I was the one that needed to grow. But she's just been unbelievable, because we actually went to the same high school, but we really didn't know each other. We went to Knox College, and then from a career standpoint, she's been incredibly supportive. Got 3 sons, my 3 sons. That might be a little dated reference for some of your audience, but Fred McMurray and my 3 sons. But Jonathan is our oldest. He's going to be 40 this year. He's a professor at Southern Wesleyan here in South Carolina. He's an English professor. He was Renaissance English was his PhD, and so he's a Spencer Scholar, and obviously took after his mother, who was a Shakespeare scholar, did not get involved in business. Our middle son is and by the way, he's married to Britt, and we have a 5-year-old granddaughter, Catherine, who we're thrilled about. Elisha's our middle son, absolutely brilliant, PhD. They both got their PhDs at USC, also in Renaissance English literature. Their sponsor basically was a renowned Spencer scholar. I mean, worldwide renowned Spencer scholar. He only sponsored 4 PhD candidates because he was doing so much other things. 2 of them are my sons.
Wow.
So he teaches English literature at Heathwood Hall here in Columbia, and his wife Rachel. They don't have a granddaughter. I've got a granddaughter. They've got a daughter, Julia, and she just turned 6 in December. And then our youngest, who just got married on January 9th in Starks, Louisiana, is Asher Sircy, and he married Hannah. He graduated from College of Charleston, business major.
Yay!
Yeah, we're talking case studies and all kinds of things. He loved Western Civ, but he was very focused, and he actually works for a 3PL firm here in Columbia, TMC. They've got assets, trucks that they do, but they've built up a 3PL business, and so he's got a tremendous career going with them. He's actually the leader of all their interns, and is really flourishing. And of course, I probably spent more time with him because there's a pretty big gap between Elisha and Asher, about 11 years. And so my running joke was, if Asher turns out to be a total mess up, it's because I had more influence. But their mother had more influence on the first 2. I had more influence on Asher, and so we got a little different result. But don't think there'll be any doctorates going on with Asher. Not that he couldn't, but he has no desire to do that. But very thankful for my family. They're such a blessing to have everyone here in South Carolina. That was my wife's vision for years and years, because we've been apart for a long time. But when we came to Columbia in 2012, that became a reality, and we love South Carolina. I know I talk funny, but South Carolinians, they deal with that, and we have a wonderful time. We love South Carolina.
Well, John, I can tell you are a proud father and grandfather. You sound like a very lucky man, and you've clearly married up to find a woman who'd put up with you for 43 years, so well done. And I'm noticing a theme here. I see reader, leader, learner, teacher, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. I learned a bunch about you, and I think it's exciting what the SCRA is doing in South Carolina. So thank you for helping and supporting that organization and its mission to support South Carolina.
Well, Robert, one, thank you for the opportunity. Without your invitation, this would not be possible. And thank you for those thought-provoking questions, because I had to give them considerable thought to come up with the answer. So thank you for this time. It's been a blast.
Have a great day.
Okay, thanks, Robert. Take care.